right, everyone. I think we can start. And yeah, welcome everyone to the next session of Battery Spotlight. I'm really happy that so many of you joined us today again. It's at least here, the weather is really, really hot. It's late in the afternoon. So thank you a lot for joining, and people are still joining in. So in this meantime, let me briefly introduce to you this format in case you joined in the first time. So with Battery Spotlight, we started this format already about 2 years ago now, and with a goal to use this format to help companies get visible with their innovation and to give them a chance to spark the interest for their innovations, to then help them connect with potential partners, and in the end, as our goal, to help them start working together. So that this event is one puzzle piece in helping to transform the individual battery ecosystems we see right now all over Europe and to transform it into one united European-wide ecosystem. For those who joined today, my name is Maximilian Wagner. I'm the network manager of the TraWeBa battery cluster, which is funded by the Ministry of Economic Affairs. And I'm really happy to welcome as well my collaboration partner and co-host Simon Voss.
Yeah, hello, also from my side. As Max introduced, Simon Voss, my name. I'm the guy with the car for 13 months now, traveling Europe trying to visit all battery companies in the space, but the ecosystem is big. But I'm trying to grasp a big share of that and getting first-hand insights on what competences we have to deliver amongst many of the competencies that we will see today as well.
Perfect. I think before we start with today's pitches, I have one remark I want to give you, because it's something we are working on right now, and I think it's a huge potential to show our ecosystem, to show the collaborations we already established. And that is the application from 𝗕𝗁𝘁𝗁𝗶𝗴𝗵𝗁 for the EVS in 2028. It will be the 41st event from the EVS. So that's actually, whoever doesn't know it, EVS stands for Electric Vehicle Symposium, and it's the oldest electric mobility conference and convention we have in the world. It started over 60 years ago, and it's only every third year in Europe. So they are cycling between Europe, Asia, and America. And our goal is we are supporting Leipzig in becoming the next host city, with the goal to then show what we have as an ecosystem in Germany. And therefore, if you either are active in the German battery or electric mobility ecosystem, and you want to support this event, or if you're a partner from outside of Germany and you see Germany as a really important partner in what you are doing to also bring your innovation to the market, and you want to support us by maybe sending a delegation, then please don't hesitate to contact me. My contact email I will put in the chat right after the introduction. And you have a lot of different things to support this event. Either you can offer a strategic support, so bring a workshop or into this event, or plan a delegation trip if you're, for example, a company or a network from outside. You can, of course, have also technical visits you can offer if you are present here in the area. And of course, we are also looking for financial support. So for the platinum, the silver, the bronze partnerships, it starts at about 20,000 euro. Of course, it goes up a lot higher. We all know it's a really difficult financial situation right now for all of us, but still, this is an event. And last year it happened in Sweden, in Göteborg, and attracted around 10,000 visitors, all from the mobility or battery sector. So it's a pure business-to-business conference or event. And I think that's a really great opportunity to get into contact, show what we can do, and also bring the politics, the research, and the industry together in one spot, and not only for a certain region, but all over the globe, with a focused on Europe. But I think with this, I said enough about other events. And Simon, please, that's what we are all here for. Could you give us a brief overview of what we're expecting today?
Yes, I'm really thrilled because every month, Max, we together have the opportunity to do a diagonal cut through our industry and see what the leading edge of battery innovation is bringing out from Europe. So today we are going through mining and refining. We'll talk about how we mix the material that we mine, how we test this material, that we'll have 2 keynotes on that. And finally, we'll talk about how to close the loop with I'm critical on this one. Not critical. I'm curious on this one by means of getting the material back through membranes. So looking really forward. And with that, and without further ado, I didn't put up the way I structured this now in the way we're presenting this. We'll start with the mixing, but I wanted to keep the supply chain order with the introduction. So the first conversation or the presentation that we have and conversation afterwards is on the mixing with Stefan Neuberger. And Stefan, if you are up to it, please share your screen. Stefan is sales manager at Eirich, Gustav Eirich Maschinenfabrik. I also had the privilege to visit them recently. The recording will be out soon. And he's talking about lab to fab today, meaning what does battery mixing mean on lab scale and how can we bring this up to the giga scale? And Eirich has a lot of experience on that and will share it with this pitch. So, Stefan, stage is yours.
Thank you so far. Better together. The battery industry is facing a paradox. We see constantly increasing performance requirements, but there is no one-size-fits-all solution. And the real challenge today is not innovation itself, it is scaling innovation. Because what works in the lab often struggles when it meets industrial reality, doesn't it? So at Eirich, we don't position ourselves as a turnkey supplier in total. We see ourselves as an enabler along the process chain at the very beginning. Our background is handling complex, demanding materials and, of course, mix it. We love mixing. Our mission is developing and transferring innovative processes into stable industrial environments. So our role is not to deliver everything from one source. We do not build the whole factory, but we help to ensure that it works. And every step depends from each other, before or behind. Because if you want to make champagne, you cannot start with vinegar. Where do we create value? Let me make this tangible with 3 aspects. First, scalability. We focus on maintaining the same process logic from lab scale to gigafactory scale. That means fewer disruptions between development stages and fewer losses when transferring results into production. Second, technology openness. We support both wet and dry processes because in our view, the industry is still evolving. There is no single right path yet. And flexibility is key for our partners. The third aspect, industrial pragmatism, industrial solutions. We design processes that are not only efficient, but robust and manageable in real-world conditions, with a focus on footprint, stability, and operational reliability. And all of this is driven always by one question: what makes it easier for our partners to succeed? If we look at major industrial breakthroughs, they are rarely the result of a single player. So take Airbus as an example. It's not one company doing everything. It's a network of highly specialized partners. And battery production today has reached a similar level of complexity. It is simply too demanding for a single, fully centralized approach. At Eirich, we believe in a different model: cooperation of specialists instead of one-man shows. And just from today, and it's really actually from today, together with 𝗕𝗫𝘁𝗁𝗲 and our friend Clemens Disch, who also made a pitch in autumn last year, we made a first trial to connect mixing and coating directly in our test center. So we can offer now not only mixing, but we can offer to code it right away, even with different parameters, and start improving processes. So we can show even, okay, what's behind. We learn from each other. We start several of these collaborations, not only with 𝗕𝗫𝘁𝗁𝗲, also with other companies. And that is my message for today. We are not limited in connecting. Let's exchange. And so if this perspective resonates with you, we would be very interested in exchanging ideas, whether it's about specific applications, challenges in scaling, or simply sharing experiences. Meet us at the battery show in Stuttgart or during our Lip and Lab seminar formats, or reach out directly to me or one of the team. The goal is simple: learn from each other and move forward together. Because innovation does not come from slideshows, it comes from execution. Thank you for listening. Hope I could catch some interest.
Certainly. So Stefan, at least for me, I spent the whole day at Eirich and explored the art and alchemy of mixing. There's much more than just science to it. So let's check first the audience if there are questions, but I don't see anyone yet, right? So please raise your hand or just speak up if you have any, because I will ask them otherwise. So I have a critical question for you. The battery industry is really struggling on scaling the processes. You were just mentioning the collaboration that you built up with 𝗕𝗫𝘁𝗁𝗲 and other partners in order to jointly learn and, as you say, be better together. From a technological point of view, what makes the Eirich process so special that you say it is easy to scale? Coming from a lab mixer, like those 5 to 10 or 15 kilogram batches, all the way up to 500 kilogram plus per batch. What has enabled that, and what is the special thing about Eirich there?
Well, the very special thing is the Irish mixing principle. We invented mixing since 1863. We are on the market, so we are now in the 5th generation. So mixing is on our DNA. And we developed the Irish mixing principle with that rotating mixing chamber, the wall scraper, and so on, so on. Don't want to bore you on that. But even with a coffee cup size, 0.1 liter size, it's the same geometrical parameters, which we will scale up to the very industrial scale. So we can simply, let's say, copy and paste from a lab scale up to pilot scale and even up to mass production. You don't have to reinvent the wheel step by step.
Yeah. So the process characteristics can be scaled linearly. That's what you're saying, right?
That is correct, yes. And that gives you speed and performance.
Yes. Talking about speed and performance, can you give us a reference? Like, why is this innovation? I mean, people from the outside just should see a big bucket, right? Which is turning, and a tool inside that is turning. And you just say, yeah, everything scales linearly with another, so that you also in the end have the same flow characteristics. But what is the big value added here in terms of performance? So what is the reference value or like time that you need, and what is the Eirich time?
Typically, when we're talking about slurry production, it's the famous planetary mixers, which Eirich invented, by the way, in 1906, but we got rid of that. But the planetary mixers is a set, let's say, approved technology, especially in Asia. What is Eirich superior in doing that is we are faster. Let's say a planetary mixer takes a batch time of 6 to 8 hours, where we are of 30 to 40 minutes per batch, which means smaller machines are possible, smaller footprint, especially in the special circumstances, which saves a lot of OPEX and CAPEX.
Yeah, I agree. And I think this is an important note to make. We have to go these ways, because if we are just as good as the current status or the state of the art, then we're just running behind in with that same velocity. but by being, let's say, 6-fold faster, we can catch up, right? So I think this is inspiring. And yeah, so I think that everyone who has further questions to Stefan, to you, please reach out. I think Julian, you just put in the link already to the LinkedIn profile of Stefan, and also, of course, to the Eirich website. I also posted a link to your partner, Mathis, and I will post a link to our episode, of course, very soon, so that people can also see more insights without being there yet. And of course, reach out if you want to attend some of the seminars. With that, thank you, Stefan. And I would like to hand over the microphone to you, Max, to announce our next speaker.
Yeah, but maybe before we announce the next speaker, let me ask you one more question, because everybody is right now talking about the dry coating Tesla put onto the market. Just could you give a really short comment? Is that affecting, or what's your perspective on the like mixing part, or on when implementing a technology like this?
Guess there's a question to me.
Yeah, a quick one before we move over.
Okay, very good question, because openness in the technology is very demanding and challenging, and I think it's required. With our technology, well, that is one of our key supplying factors. We can do both with our machinery. We can do slurry and we can do dry battery electrodes with all lead fibrillation behind, and that is also with another partner, 𝗕𝗁𝘁𝗁𝗲𝗿𝗆 together. We are developing also these processes to improve also the calendaring afterwards. That is the future, definitely. But still, it's the beginning of a long journey. But
Definitely.
we are open to that, and let's tackle it.
Perfect. Thank you for the really quick answer to this question. And yeah, let's move over and to a really interesting topic, or let's say a critical topic. We will talk about critical materials, and they are by definition critical and rare. And now more than ever, when you look at what's happening in the world, and how to recover these critical materials is one of the central parts we have to solve if we want to build up a resilient ecosystem here in Europe. And with this, I'm really happy that Berinike Bräsel is here today, the co-founder of naion.tech, and she will talk on how you can do this, and not only how you can do it, but how you can do it in an environmental friendly way. Very nice to have you here, and really looking forward.
Yeah, thank you very much for the introduction. Hi everyone. I'm Berinike and I'm co-founder of naion.tech. And we develop tailor-made nanofiltration membranes for selective recovery and purification of critical raw materials, with a particular focus on complex liquid streams from battery recycling and circular processing. Battery recycling is not just about accessing valuable materials, it is about separating them selectively. And valuable critical raw materials such as lithium, nickel, cobalt, or manganese can end up in complex aqueous streams. And these streams are very difficult because the concentrations vary, impurities differ, and every process has its own chemistry. And that makes selective recovery hard. And standard separation steps are often not optimized for the specific individual stream. So we recognize there is a market gap for an adaptable filtration technology. And we at naion.tech, we rethink membranes from a one-size-fits-all product into a tailor-made separation platform. For this, we use established membrane modules and functionalize their surfaces with a thin selective coating. So you can think of a membrane as a selective filter, allowing certain solutes to pass while others are rejected. So then leading to two separated streams, the concentrated retentate and the purified permeate. And our coating is very highly versatile and allows us to precisely tune the membrane's properties. And this way we can design membranes that are very individual and specific for a targeted separation. And by using AI-optimized membrane design, we can do that even time and cost efficient. Our adaptable membrane platform is selective by design, enabling recovery and purification and circular processing for industrial separation challenges where conventional systems reach their limits. We can keep the process efficient because nanofiltration operates at relatively moderate pressures compared to many energy-intensive alternatives. And the approach is sustainable because higher recovery and more targeted purification can reduce waste and chemical demand. And it is modular, not only on the membrane and our coating level, but also on the plant level, allowing for scalability and easy integration into existing processes. So these are today's solutions. Existing technologies force a trade-off. So standard membranes, they are sustainable, but often limited in selectivity, while chemical or thermal routes can be selective, but often increase complexity, waste, and energy demand. And our sweet spot is the gap in between. We are selective, low energy, and we can adapt our membrane to the specific process. Battery recycling is one of our main focus, but the underlying challenge is much broader. Many industries have valuable or problematic solution streams with unique conditions. And that is exactly where tailor-made nanofiltration becomes relevant. So our platform can be adapted to different separation targets, not only in battery recycling, but also to phosphorus recovery or PFAS removal, whenever selectivity and process compatibility are critical. Currently, we are funded through Exist to bring our technology to the next level, and we're currently working on feasibility studies with industry partners. And if you have also streams where valuable materials are currently lost or where recovery is too chemical or energy intensive, I would be very happy to explore whether our tailored nanofiltration can be of help here. So let's connect and discuss. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And also perfectly on time, which gives us a lot of time to discuss this and ask questions. So if you have any, raise your hand or put them in the chat. I will try to keep the chat, keep an eye on the chat that any question popping up there will be asked by myself. Very interesting. Let me ask the first question. Nanofiltration, that sounds really cool, but I mean, nanopores are also very small. I'm trying to phrase this easy, but how big is the problem you're expecting or experiencing with clogging this membrane? Because kind of everything on it is blocking all the pores.
Yeah, that's a good point. So clogging it's in membrane science, it's fouling and scaling is a technical term here. So this is a serious problem. And of course, when we have really big particles, we would need a bigger filter before that. So ultrafiltration or microfiltration before that, or other filter techniques, and then have our nanofiltration after that. So usually you don't just have one membrane module that filters everything, but rather a whole plant with filters that target different separation tasks. Of course, scaling, whenever we have dissolved solutes, a lot of salts is a big problem. So whenever the concentration gets very high and the salts fall out, build crystals on top of the membrane. But actually there is, our coating is very advantageous over other nanofiltration techniques here. It reduces the risk of scaling and fouling, actually.
Thanks. Simon, you have a question.
Yes, I do. Because I was also, it goes into the direction of Max. What is the feedstock that goes into the battery material? And maybe you can also, with that, explain a little bit the position in the value chain that you're in. So what do you take as feedstock, and where's the value towards the customer if we look at this a little bit from the business case perspective?
Yeah, so we don't have a standalone technology, but we are experienced in building the whole separation plant. So together with plant builders, we set up the solution around it. So as I said, like maybe pre-filters for filtering out first bigger particles and so on. But the good thing about our technology is that we can tailor-make different nanofiltration membranes for different separations tasks, or these different targets, and then put them on different put them after one another, for example. But yes, of course, we will be an add-on to the process, maybe in between somewhere, to get something out that would otherwise disturb the process there, or at the end. So process water that is a wastewater problem. So but we get out liquid streams, purified liquid streams. We target lithium purification of about 95 to 98%, but it will be still dissolved in an aqueous phase. So we do not produce battery grade lithium. So it wouldn't be needed. There would be a post treatment needed after that. So we're somewhere in the process, or at the end, to treat wastewater that would otherwise be discharged at higher cost because there are toxic components in it.
Okay, so there are multiple values that you go. For the one, it's you have no or less wastewater, or another grade of wastewater. But then also the possibility to filter, or also to get material back through the filtration, right?
Yeah, it is always an individual thing. So we do not offer that one solution that fits for that specific separation task, but together with our partners, we try to get a solution that fits for the individual process. So it's not just the membrane itself is not just tailored, but the whole membrane plant with everything around it.
Okay,
perfect. Before we move over to the next speaker, there's one question from the audience about the pore size of the membrane. Probably to give you, he wants to know exactly the values, and also the durability, and if they are reusable.
Yeah, good question. Actually, by coincidence, I have another slide right at the back. This is, I think this is nice to see. So this is a coating here on the left that we apply. It's a layer by layer polyelectride coating. And on the right, you can see a SEM image. And we have a support membrane where you can actually really see the pores. And then we have this really small selective layer on top. This is our coating. As you can see, the layer itself here is just a few 100 nanometers, or just a few micrometers thick, and the pores, so you don't really have pores in the selective layer. It's rather nano volumes, so you have diffusive transport. So I hope this answers the pore size question. And with respect to durability, this obviously really depends on the separation tasks. So if it is a very demanding, chemically demanding separation task, very low pH, a lot of acid, then of course the durability is less than in more mild conditions. So it can vary between for polymeric membranes for 2 to 3 years to 6, 7, 8 years. But we also have the alternatives to apply our coating on more robust ceramic membranes, and they last over 10 years at least, even longer, and they are reusable. There we can strip the coating off and recoat the membranes and even adapt the coating. So if the process conditions change and a different property of the membrane is needed, we can just strip off the coating and replace it, and that it does not cost a lot because the core membrane stays the same. So this is the advantage of using a different support membrane on a ceramic basis, for example.
All right, thanks a lot. And I think with this, it's time to move over and back to you, Simon.
Thank you. And thank you again for the talk. So from that point now on refining material, we go all the way to the front to the value chain of batteries and talking about mining and refining, because Tech Lithium is not just mining it and setting up an alternative supply chain, but also looking at how to actually make battery grade material and go in that direction. So Konstantin Borger, who is the VP of corporate development at Tech Lithium, is presenting his case today. And yeah, with that, Konstantin, you're free to share your screen, and we're looking forward to explore what you're doing.
Thanks very much, guys. Thanks for having me. I hope you can see the screen.
Yes, so we can do it. See it.
Great. So as you said, Simon, we are sitting at the front of the value chain. So Tech is a mining and refining company. Mm-hmm. Before I go into what we exactly do, let me just give you a bit of context. And I know that we have lots of battery specialists here, and this is no news to you. We've entered the battery age. The oil age is behind us. Nearly everything we're going to use is going to be electrified. What is a troubling sort of detail, if you look at the figures on the right bottom of the slide here, is the amount of investments going into the battery value chain. And if you look at what China is currently investing and has said to invest, it's 6 times of the amount that Europe is investing. Nevertheless, Europe is ahead in terms of global economy measured by GDP. And you guys are doing a great job of bringing together all of us, of industry kind of peers and experts. We really need to wake up and make sure that we have a reliable and sufficient value chain and supply chain in Europe, because really batteries are going to be the one key commodity that the economies are going to need going forward. How is Tech helping with all of that? When we looked at the value chain of producing batteries, we quickly realized that the conversion process, so the refining of the raw material into a battery-grade chemical, is really the missing link in the value chain. Note that 90% of refined lithium currently still comes out of China. When I started with Tech more than 5 years ago now, that number was still the same, maybe a bit higher, but not really. So nothing has really changed in the last couple of years, and we still do not have scaled lithium refining capacity in the West. And our clear goal is to change that, first with our project in Germany, which is the Guben converter, and then with our second project in Canada. I think this slide is pretty self-explanatory, and everybody knows about the value chain. I think one interesting piece here, when you look at the business case, the lithium and other critical minerals that are going to be procured by battery producers and OEMs, our contract is always with the automotive or the battery company. So we have a contract with Mercedes-Benz. This is all public. So they're procuring 40% of the lithium that we're going to produce in Germany. But our product is going to the cathode producer. So there's always a tripartite kind of negotiation and agreement. So it's really not a straightforward kind of business relationship, but it's quite a complex arrangement. So Tech, we started out with a smaller mining deposit in Ontario, Canada. It is our Georgia Lake project. We've grown it in size to about 18 million tons in lithium resource. It is located north of Thunder Bay, 2.5 hours away from Thunder Bay. It's not in the middle of nowhere. It's on the Cross-Canada Highway. It has infrastructure in terms of gas and utility. The First Nation agreements are currently being negotiated. As you might know, this is a big topic in Canada to really have Indigenous community engagement and also participation. And from there on, we said our next project is going to be a lithium refinery, and you can see it on the left side here of the slide. It's the Guben converter. It is a 24,000-ton lithium hydroxide converter, which is going to produce round about lithium, which is good for 600,000 electric vehicles per year. And the follow-on project is then going to be the red rock converter in Canada, which is currently in scoping study phase. The Guben converter is fully engineered. It's fully permitted by German emission standards. So it's a full-on 𝗕𝘁𝘁𝗶𝗵𝗵𝗁, which was a big piece of work. More than 300,000 engineering hours went into this. So it's ready to go, and we're currently putting together the financing, which, this is going to be my last sentence, is not easy currently in the European environment, but we can see that slowly the off-takers, but also the governments are waking up. And we're very much looking forward to bringing that project over the line, and then the next one in Canada. So this was a quick introduction to RockTech and what we do. Thanks for the attention.
Yes, thank you. And I think everyone was paying close attention because you gave a pretty good understanding on where we are at a global scale, right? And what it actually means, and where the technological homework is to be done, and how you're trying to tackle this. So 2 points here. One is the mining and then the refining case. Because you were just talking, I want to start from the back, so to speak, with a question. If you would compare the Canadian regulation and bureaucracy around batteries and your endeavor, and the German European one, I have my perspective, but I would like to have yours. Can you give a couple of anecdotes? What in Europe has to change in order to get ahead, or where we are actually maybe quite well equipped already? So yeah, that would be my initial question.
I think in terms of emission standards and legislation, Germany is actually doing quite a good job, and the permitting process was actually pretty straightforward. So it took us round about 2 years. And at the size of the plant in terms of financing is 800 million euros. So it's a large plant. It's the largest infrastructure project in Brandenburg nowadays. So that was actually pretty straightforward. I think what's missing a bit in Germany is that understanding for capital markets, and also how global economies work and how offtake agreements work. I think the Canadians are doing a better job at that. For example, supporting lithium prices, maybe building a feedstock of lithium, building a feedstock of critical minerals, stockpiling critical minerals. So I think they're more business savvy. They're more business minded.
Okay. So by meaning securing takeoff agreements, so having governmental support by moderating customer discussions, or what do you mean by that? Or is the state actually the customer in this case, or what do you mean with the offtake?
Could be both. Don't forget, most of us are junior companies. I mean, we're traded at the stock exchange, but we're still a junior company. And if you're going to negotiate with big Korean OEMs, with big off-takers in the US, someone sometimes needs to guarantee such an offtake. And obviously a state or even a nation can probably come in with a sort of guarantee, not maybe for the whole amount, but at least for some of the offtake.
Yeah, okay. All right. You mentioned even the IRR in those projects, and if I saw that correctly, the IRR is 32 or 36% even for the big one in Canada, but then for the refining lower. Would you say an IRR of 18% is not that high? I think for some investors. So would you say it is a challenging case still from a financial point of view, or would you say it's just calculated differently? Maybe critical question here, but I think we also need to talk business.
I think it's the seniority of the project. So we've gone through the DFS, and the Guben project with 18% IRR is fully engineered and has a ±5% deviation in capex. So we know what the cost is, and we also know what the revenue and the profit is going to be. So an 18% IRR is still a great IRR in sort of the seniority and the lifetime of the project. Obviously, when you look at more junior projects that maybe only have a PFS or preliminary economic assessment, they come in with IRRs of 50+%. Most of them are not realistic. So if you return 18% to your investors, and you can basically guarantee that's not a bad business case.
Yeah, thank you for giving us this straightforward perspective, and also a realistic one. I think this is what's actually really needed, because to understand, like, yes, this is a value, but it can deviate, and to know also by how much it can deviate, this builds trust, and also what is needed in our industry.
And I think there are different pockets of investors for all of these companies here today. So there's seed funding, venture capital, but then also if you talk to a pension fund or big institutional investor, they need downside protection. They don't want any risk, right? So you need to have a senior project that's also de-risk.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for giving us the insights into what RockTech is doing. Are there any questions from the crowd? I mean, I could ask Konstantin all afternoon long, but I think it's also my job to give the room to you, Max.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but it's also my job to see that we move over to the next speaker because we are already reached the time limit here.
Thanks.
Yes.
But I
Thanks,
agree.
Konstantin.
You can talk way longer on this topic, but yeah, let's move over and thank you a lot for this nice presentation or pitch.
Pleasure.
And I think it's been already quite some time since batteries were just like a box where you get some decent DC current out of them for a short time. And especially in the recent decades, batteries developed into a real high-tech product. And for such a high-tech product, real-time data acquisition and evaluation can bring a lot of advantages. Which advantages exactly will now be shown by Ilya Zilberman. He's the managing director of Crino. We met last year in Sweden on a delegation trip, and Ilya, I'm really looking forward what you developed in the last year, what changed, and yeah, looking forward to your pitch.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Max, for the introduction. So, hi, everyone. My name is Ilya. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Crino. And today I would like to talk to you about battery testing and about existing battery testing infrastructure and how this infrastructure can be improved in terms of quality of data and also how the operational cost can be highly decreased. First, a couple of words to Crino. We are a spin-off from Technical University of Munich. In the last couple of years, we developed our own battery testing infrastructure, which includes cyclers, which includes thermal solutions, and also a big software package, which quietly, nicely fits into new projects. But today we are looking into existing battery fields. And what do we see there? Usually are three big expensive gaps, and one of them are blind channels. So current and voltage sensors, they tend to drift over time. And the cables, they might lose contacts, and also the contacting on the cell tabs, they might oxidate over time. And those maybe even tiny problems might get unnoticed until month or even completely, which highly decreases the quality of the battery data. Furthermore, there is the schedule-driven calibration, which is the cycler channels are being calibrated each 12 or 24 a month. And the thing is that if you calibrate too early, then you waste a lot of resources, you waste a lot of costs if you also have certification. But if you calibrate too late, you waste a lot of tests, a lot of data. So regarding the quality, so we tend to find the sweet point when the cycler and when each channel needs really the calibration. And the last but not least, there is the vendor-locked data, especially in battery test fields with a lot of mixed cyclers, with mixed hardware. It is quite hard to get out all the data, to harmonize the data, to get the nice export, and also to view them in real time, which makes the assessment and also the algorithmic evaluation of the test quite difficult. So our solution to these problems is a small hardware module called TraceGuard. A TraceGuard is being clamped between a cell testing setup and the cycler channel, and it passively measures the voltage, the current, and also the contact resistance of the test setup. And if this module detects any anomalies or any problems with the setup, it raises a hand and says, "Okay, test engineer must do something." It can also trigger some workflows as Jira ticket creation or writing an email and so on. So what is the magic behind it? It is the distributed intelligence. So each TraceGuard runs its own edge AI. For instance, for anomaly detection, for the specific test setup, we use first days of a long-term cycling. We train the model based on this data, and then we deploy this model directly on the TraceGuard. Then there is also the possibility for the test setup monitoring, which basically means that we can upload a plan, the sequence, the testing plan from the hardware, from the cycler software into the TraceGuard, so the module can differentiate whether the cycling hardware is doing what it intended to do, whether there are some deviations. Well, all the data is being then gathered into one small server, which is then installed by the client. So there is no cloud solution in that. The whole data belongs to the client. We don't have any access to it. And then it can be accessed over quite nice APIs with really easy access. And at the end, there is also a predictive calibration toolbox. So over sequences of cycling, we recognize where there's a CV phase, where is the cycling step, so we can track the currents and the voltages over time and say, okay, now that's a good time so the setup is being calibrated. So to sum up, a TraceGuard is a solution which leverages the resources of a testing engineer. So one cannot handle not only 100 channels, but up to 1,000 channels, of course. And if such application technology is interesting for you, then give me a call. Let's connect. Maybe it's something for your existing infrastructure. If you need a new one, also let's connect. Otherwise, I'll probably see one another at the battery show. Together with the company Grop, we are presenting quite similar solutions, but in the scope of cell finishing and cell formation and cell aging. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, maybe let me start with the first question. Information or data is always good if you do these analysis things. If you look at the multi-level technology where you contact every battery cell individually, would that be a blessing or curse for your system?
Actually, come again regarding the connecting each cell. On the cell level, they're usually connected. Can you specify what do you mean by that?
And that you connect them in a way that you can measure the voltage, the current, the state of health of each cell separately. So you can
Yeah, so in the testing, I think this is the most important thing, to get the most data out of the cell as possible, not only rely on a simple capacity checkups, but also to provide a very known test boundary, how the cell is tested. So just putting a cell into a climate chamber and to expect that it will behave the same way as it behaves in a battery pack module in a car, usually it is not the case. So observation of this test setup and how the test setup also performs is quite important to get like a really nice data for afterwards AI model processes. So good aging models can be trained. So in AI world, you say garbage in, garbage out. We're trying to make sure that we don't let any garbage in. So the data quality is quite high in the battery test field.
Very good. Good safeguard. Yeah. Or doorkeeper.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't see any questions in the chat, so maybe you can comment on the second question. You mentioned that in the beginning, like with the blind challenges and the calibration, if that is not done right, it is producing costs. The cost you can then reduce again. Could you give me an estimate what's the dimension of the costs we are talking about?
Yeah. So regarding, it depends what is the certification level of the test field, whether it's 70025 or they only use ISO 9001 certification. For 70025, we can provide the maximum savings on the calibration, since we are also being certified right now also for this module, and also in this way there is a return of invest in around 12 months after purchasing this model, only for the business case of calibration costs.
That sounds like a business case.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If there are no further questions, I think it's already time to move over to our last speaker.
Yes, I would like to take this one, and maybe just a little note on myself. I saw that you're at the battery show, Ilya, and shout out. I will be also in Hall 1. We will showcase the battery expedition vehicle there, so maybe we have the chance to meet up.
Absolutely.
With that said,
would be happy.
Great. With that said, I would like to move over to our last speaker, but last but not least to Lukas Akeme, who is the lead of sales at Voltavision, and he might actually use the equipment that Ilya just presented, and we'll talk a little bit about what battery testing means actually, and how you can even help beyond the testing, meaning also help on the engineering, meaning taking the information, the data, and actually improving the product. So, Lukas, please elaborate us with your presentation.
Yeah, so I hope you can hear me, and I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, you can switch to presenter mode if you like, then we see a little bit more.
I'll do that.
Perfect.
Yeah, so let me quickly introduce myself. Voltavision. I'm head of sales at Voltavision. We are based in Bochum, Germany, in the Ruhr area. Yeah, so North Rhine-Westphalia. And what we are basically doing is testing. Yeah, supporting our customers, which are OEMs in general from the automotive industry. Yeah, and also they are suppliers, of course, from the battery cell up to the battery pack system at the end of the day. And what we are doing there is validating, testing, cycling, focus on the electrical validation of the systems. Yeah, so that's where we're coming from. But over the years, also improving our laboratory with our own products, which are also available for our customers. So maybe just to give a quick overview, starting from the cells with cycle aging, calendrical aging, and electrical characterization, so that our customers know what they're actually putting into their battery systems, so that they can make sure that the cells that they're buying, either from European or Asian suppliers, are actually performing the way they see fit for their products, mainly, automotive industry, but also transportation and so forth, everywhere where you can electrify your system. Same goes for modules, just a different voltage level here, ranging from 80 to 600 volts and up to 2,400 amps, and also similar matter for the battery pack system at the end of the day when the product is finalized. Here we have much higher voltage, so up to 1,500 volts and up to 1.4 megawatts. So we are prepared at our facility also for megawatt charging, validating of that in our facility. What I would like to share with you today is more based on the products that we have, as we are building our own laboratories since 2011. We're quite at the forefront of validating R&D regarding battery testing. So we developed most of the products that we're using ourselves, always buying cyclers and chambers, but equipping them with our contactors, connecting systems, throughputs, and other stuff like balances and so forth, everything you need around testing. By now, we are also supplying our customers with those products. But the last and I guess most interesting step that we took is regarding energy efficiency. So as we have huge laboratories, what we did was to have a centralized cooling system for our chambers and testing systems to optimize the energy efficiency. We started on a battery pack level. First with a sketch, beginning of 2023, and an empty hall. And at the end of the year of 2023, we had our first own chamber system and also laboratory infrastructure. We still bought the cyclers, but the chambers and everything else, like conditioning units and so forth, are from our side with a centralized cooling system. And what we managed to do by that is reduce the energy consumption by more than 50%. And another point would be environmentally friendly. We could reduce the CO2 equivalent that usual coolants of testing systems have, while we are using CO2 and propane as coolant. What we are doing right now is doing that for cell level testing as well. Yeah. So on a smaller scale, but same setup, centralized cooling system outside of the laboratory, and then scaling it up for big laboratories, yeah, up to thousands of channels. What we are trying to do there is reduce the footprint, yeah, in space, in CO2 equivalent, and in energy consumption, yeah, to optimize the testing of ourselves, of course, firsthand, and then of our customers as well. Yeah. So what we could do with the systems here is, yeah, you can see on the left and on the right different footprints of the system. Coming to a close, you'll be able to see our products and also our testing service, of course, at the battery show in Hall 4, booth B46. And yeah, you're welcome to ask us questions regarding testing service itself, yeah, as we are initially mainly a testing service house. And then, of course, also regarding our products, which are proven by practice in our own laboratory. Maybe they are of interest for your upcoming laboratory as well. So far, from my side, thanks for listening.
Thank you, Lukas, for the interesting talk and insights you provided. Also, I understand this correctly, right? You started off as a testing facility, but you on the way figured out like, wait a second, we can do the engineering in-house quite on our own. Coming up now with own chambers, with an own energy infrastructure, saving 50% of energy. Let me ask the question: is the next step selling those chambers as a new material equipment supplier, or will you just keep it in-house? What is the business scope there?
Well, it usually starts with a problem that we have in a house. Yeah, when a customer comes to us and they have a testing problem and they want a solution for that. So it has to be quick and dirty at the start in our facility, as we have short lead times, maybe 6 months to 1 year. But when the products then prove to be good, yeah, and maybe have their first, second iteration, yeah, and all of the initial problems have been solved, then we supply that to our customers as well, so they can have, can benefit from that as well. And it helps to, at the end of the day, improve validation and R&D process within Europe for everybody. And of course, customers are also helps with the customer relation to have them on the service side, but also on the equipment side as well. Yeah, growing together, they're supporting each other.
Yeah. Nice. That sounds really inspiring. And maybe on that, and because we're talking about the ecosystem here, right? Everything is like targeted to understand like what is the competence that we have in Europe, and on building up the facility. What is your experience with all the suppliers that you obviously still need in order to bring your infrastructure to life? Would you say like you can source a lot from Europe already, or do you still require also a lot of international suppliers for building up the facility? What is the ratio? How do you approach this?
Well, from our side, we can source almost everything within Europe, which also makes sense because at the end of the day, we need service for the systems that we have, as every day counts on our side. So, of course, it is possible to do that internationally, with support maybe from the US or with support from Asia. It always makes sense to learn from one another. But at the end of the day, most of our suppliers and partners that we are working with are within Europe, such as AVL or Keysight, you name it, 𝗕𝗫𝘁𝗁𝗲𝗿𝘆, all the suppliers, because it is easier to get service from them as they are close by. Yeah.
Important point, right? And also coming back to this financial discussion earlier, in those numbers, you always have to crunch in the service and time that you need in order, lead times, etc., because it also has a value on opportunity costs. Lukas, thank you very much. I think there are no questions right now. If there are any questions to Lukas or any of the presenters, please ask them in the chat. Just approach us or contact them directly. Julian was so kindly forwarding all the contacts here in the chat. So click on the links if you have not. And with that, I would like to hand over to Max to land this plane again. So already thanks from my side.
Yes, thank you very much, Simon, and thank first of all of the speakers. It was a pleasure hosting this event again this month. And yeah, so thank you for your really insightful pitches. Thank all of you for attending, listening, asking the questions, keeping the discussion alive. Although, as most of the time, Simon, I have a lot of questions for the presenters. Important information, of course, is our next battery spotlight, which will take place June 18th at always 4:30 p.m. We are now in the Central European summertime again. I think we are already, but next time we are putting this in the emails as well. And yes, of course, if you listened to the pitches and thought, I have an innovation as well, and I want to present them next month. Actually, next month will be difficult, but I want to present them at least this year. Then don't hesitate, contact us. I think, Julian, you are doing all the coordination, but the next 2 months are already completely booked out. But after that, we can give you a spot. So contact us with your innovation. We will see that you will be on stage here as well. And I think with this, I wish you all a very pleasant afternoon and hopefully see you all again June 18th.